Welcome to the Alien vs Predator Galaxy YouTube channel. This is Community Co-Administrator Corporal Hicks, aka Aaron Percival, and you're watching another installment of the Weyland-Yutani Debrief. In this entry in the series, we're going to be taking a look at a piece of the lore that's not really been used. It's had one theatrical entry and one kind of implied but big entry in the expanded universe, and that is the Deacon. First featured in Prometheus, the Deacon served as an epilogue for the film to make its connection to the Alien series even more concrete than just featuring the engineers. The Deacon's first appearance has so far been its only appearance, and as such mankind has never knowingly encountered the creature. With no in-universe name, it is known only by the nickname given to the design by the production crew, the Deacon. This was due to the shape of the creature's head resembling clerical headwear. As with the neomorphs and the aliens, the Deacon is a creature whose origins are derived from the black goo, the accelerant that was being used as a weapon by the engineers. Like the neomorphs and the aliens, the Deacon has a similar morphology, most obviously with the elongated skull and a secondary inner jaw. The Deacon also shares a similar invasive life cycle with the neomorphs and the aliens. Its birth was also the result of a series of very unlikely events. It required the ingestion of the accelerant. The infected host then needed to have sex with another person. The window for these events to occur would presumably be reduced or expanded depending on the amount of accelerant that was consumed. The accelerant affects the host's reproductive organs, sperm in the case of Prometheus, in such a way that it resulted in the impregnation of the partner with another creature known as the trilobite, which was another critical part of the Deacon's creation. The trilobite gestated inside its mother's womb and grew at a considerable rate, growing too big for the host in less than 12 hours. During the Prometheus expedition in 2093, the trilobite's host, Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, was able to perform a cesarean on herself and remove the trilobite before it could fully mature. It's unknown exactly how it would have been born from its host, but presumably it would have killed her in a similar fashion to the births of other accelerant-based creatures. Once fully matured, the trilobite had a similar biological function to the alien facehuggers the crew of the Nostromo would later encounter, and that David 8 would eventually engineer on Paradise. Let loose by Dr. Shaw, the trilobite attacked and overpowered the last surviving engineer that the Prometheus expedition had encountered and was able to impregnate him. After Dr. Shaw and David 8 left LV-223, the Deacon birthed from the already dead engineer in a fashion that resembled the alien chestbursters and the neomorph bloodbursters. Like the canine-based aliens, the Deacon emerged in a more developed stage. In the Dark Horse Comics series Fire and Stone, over 100 years after the events of Prometheus, the crew of the Geryon Armada would investigate the disappearance of the Prometheus and unwittingly discover what had become of the Deacon. While not stated explicitly, it is heavily implied that the Deacon had actually become some form of huge living mountainous organism. Following the crash of the Juggernaut at the end of Prometheus and the spilling of its accelerant cargo, the moon's entire ecosystem was completely transformed, with a huge jungle environment developing. It evidently also caused the Deacon itself to evolve at an accelerated rate and eventually grew into a living structure that resembled a mountain. Derek Russell, the chief terraformer of Hadley's Hope and one of a small group of survivors that managed to escape from the nearby moon of LV-426 in 2179, noted that the strange mountain was getting larger over the several months that he had been on LV-223. Russell was able to recover one of the pups from the Prometheus mission that had been actively scanning the planet for the last 86 years. In the probe's earlier recordings, Russell was able to see the mountain at an earlier stage when it more closely resembled the Deacon, as if it was just lying down. Over the course of nearly 130 years, the Deacon had somehow evolved into a huge living mountain-like entity. It wasn't until 2219 that the survivors of the Geryon discovered that the mountain was in fact alive. Eldon, a biological-based synthetic who had himself been injected with the accelerant and mutated into a strange alien-like creature, was the first to realise this. The survivors were trying to track down a signal emanating from inside the mountain and found that the Deacon had grown around the remains of wreckage from the Prometheus. Unwilling to allow the survivors to harm what Eldon felt was a kindred spirit, but also not willing to allow the humans and a single predator to die, Eldon was able to merge with the evolved Deacon and somehow affect its biological functions long enough to allow the survivors to escape. Now, Prometheus had originally started life as a more direct Alien prequel, and the Deacon evolved from a concept from those earlier iterations. Originally, a massive alien, nicknamed the Ultramorph, would have burst from the last engineer and then tried to kill Dr. Shaw, then known as Dr. Watts. She would ultimately kill the Ultramorph using a diamond drill. The Deacon took the place of the Ultramorph, but instead of serving as a final antagonist, it would serve as a coda to make the film's connections to the Alien universe more obvious. Originally, the Fire and Stone comic series would have taken place just after Prometheus and revolved more around the Deacons and their evolution into the aliens. Early cover artwork released for the series actually depicted the Deacons rather than the aliens. In fact, most of the series had actually been half written when the writers found out that they weren't allowed to use the Deacons due to their story being too close to what Alien Covenant was doing with the Neomorphs and the aliens. Back in 2015, Alien vs Predator Galaxy had the opportunity to interview several of the writers involved with the Fire and Stone series, and we asked them about the changes to the aliens. When we asked Chris Sabella about this, he told us, initially we were using the Deacons and sort of tracing their evolution into full-on xenomorphs. Using the Deacon we see at the end of Prometheus, but that hewed too close to what they were talking about for Prometheus 2, which makes sense. Now, the complete Fire and Stone collection contains a lot of concept art of some of the earlier directions the series would have taken. Now, this includes artwork showing explorations for designs of Deacons that were born from human hosts, and a design for a more fully grown, though not quite mountainous, design of the engineered derived Deacon from the end of Prometheus. And that is it for the Deacon. He's made no further appearances. Would you guys and girls actually like to see the Deacon return in any future expanded universe or any further films? Or would you rather see more of the Neomorphs or no proto-aliens at all? Sound off in the comment section below and let us know. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to take a look around at some of our other lore videos and just some of our videos in general. We've got let's plays of the various Alien and Predator games with more on the way and planned. We've also got just some sort of editorial pieces including a look at the myth around the Operation Aliens cartoon series, and most recently my partner Ridgetop shared a video tour of the Alien exhibit in Los Angeles at the minute. If you like what you see, please be sure to hit the like button and also to subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future content. If you want to check out the hub of all our content, please visit www.avpgalaxy.net. This has been Corporal Hicks, and thank you for watching.